Hello and welcome. My name is Randon Dunlap and this is my Kucha. And my Kucha is on how to make Guinness stew. So I'm going to go over some ingredients, what you need, step by step, photo instruction, and hopefully you can figure it out from my Kucha. Happens to be one of my favorites, so couldn't resist doing it on it. So to start with, we're going to start with Mr. Arthur Guinness, who actually is the creator of delicious Guinness. He started it back in 1769, back in Dublin. And he's basically the founder of it, and that's what we're going to use as one of our main ingredients is his Guinness Stout. I know I put a picture of Guinness Drought on here, but we're going to use Guinness Stout. So the stew itself originated from farmers back in the 1800s who would make a stew from farm fresh vegetables, mainly carrots, potatoes, and they would actually use lamb meat. We're going to use beef, but they use lamb meat, but that's real traditional Irish stew. But they would basically put it all together because that's what they had available. So what we have here is we have Guinness Stout. We have some recipe. We have some thyme, pepper, salt, cayenne pepper, onions, garlic, and I'll blow up these pictures here in a second so you can see. But this is everything that you're going to need. So like I said, you have sea salt, black pepper. I recommend the grinding black pepper because it's way better. Then we got tomato paste, we got thyme, cayenne pepper, Guinness Stout, olive oil, everything we need. Red potatoes, garlic, carrots, and just a few extras, which I'll get to, which are my personal touch. Don't really call for it in a regular recipe. So, right here we have the beef. Now, like I said, normally they use lamb, and if you want to try lamb, that's up to you, but it's pretty difficult to cook. Any kind of beef cube will do. Anything that's pre-cubed works great, or you can just take a steak, cut it up. Doesn't really matter. It's all just about getting the right thickness, so not too small. So you can take a bowl, you're going to add the beef to the bowl, and you're going to take flour and you're going to dust it. You don't want to get too heavy because you don't want to overdo it. But you want to dust it, and then you're going to add the cayenne pepper in there, a little bit of sea salt, mainly the cayenne pepper and flour. You're going to mix it all real good. Give it a good layer. Use your judgment on this one. And then you're going to take the onions, you're going to chop them up, you're going to chop the garlic up. Excuse me. Now you don't want to chop the onions up too fine. You want to, as you can see in the picture, you want them like decent chunks, and you'll see what I mean when I get to that. But the garlic you want chopped up as fine as possible, even finer than I chopped it up in that picture, because you don't want chunks of garlic in your teeth. So you're going to take the meat, you're going to put it into a pan with olive oil on low heat. You're actually going to simmer this for 5 minutes with a lid. So you're going to add the onions and the garlic and the tomato paste all to this pan. You're going to mix it up, and this is just called browning. So you're just going to brown the meat. You're not cooking it yet, you're just browning it. So you want to mix it all in, let the juices kind of sit there and cook. Now while that's cooking, you want to get the carrots. You're going to chop up the carrots. Depending on the size of the carrot will dictate how thick and crunchy it is when you actually eat the stew, even though it cooks for 3 hours. So kind of keep that in mind. And you want to double the amount of carrots you have in this picture. That's not near enough. That's just what I started when I started taking a picture. So you're going to come back to the stew, and it's going to be simmering for 5 minutes. And it's going to look something like this. And then when it's done, you're going to be transferring it over. Now remember, this isn't cooked. This is just simmered, so the meat is still very rare. So don't be tempted to be taking bites or anything. And you're going to take a separate pan. But before you do that, or after, you're going to take a quarter of that first bottle of Guinness Stout, and you're going to pour it into a measuring cup. You don't really have to measure it, just kind of guesstimate. So on a quarter of that bottle. And what you're going to do is you're going to be using it with the leftover juices here in a minute. We'll get to that. So you're going to take the pan, you're going to put tinfoil in it. Keep the tinfoil all the way up to the sides. It's critical because you're going to be using every inch of that pan. And it looks like a deep pan, but once you start adding all these ingredients in, you're going to quickly run out of room. So you want this pan with the tinfoil ready to go. And so as soon as the meat's done simmering, you're going to transfer it on over, and you're going to spread it out as close as you can. At this point, you want to preheat the oven to 300 or before. It doesn't really matter when. And you're going to spread this. So you spread this meat out. Make sure the tinfoil is up on the edges. And this is just going to hang out here for a minute while you do some other stuff. So you're going to take that Guinness, and you're going to pour it into the old pan that you simmered with, and then you're going to caramelize. If you don't know what caramelize means, you might have to look it up. But basically, you're just reducing. You might want to take a spatula like I did, and you're going to get all the goodness on the sides and get it in there. You want the meat juices, tomato puree, everything. You want that stuff to caramelize into deliciousness. So while it's caramelizing, you're going to add carrots and a bunch of thyme, on top of your pan. And once that's done, you're going to add the caramelized juice and then the rest of the Guinness stout onto the carrots. So you're going to put it all in there, mix it in, press it down. And because this is going to be your final baking product. So take another piece of tin foil, put it on top of the pan, crimp the sides, and your oven should be preheated by this point. Now you want to put it in the middle of the oven. You don't want to put it on the top or the bottom because you don't want to be too close to the heating elements. You want it to simmer for like 3 hours. So you're going to put this baby in there. And then if you want, you can make mashed potatoes. I personally can't resist making garlic mashed potatoes because it's delicious. And it's the traditional recipe is to serve it on a bed of mashed potatoes. So sometime while it's cooking you have 3 hours. So sometime while it's cooking, you can make some mashed potatoes. Or you can just eat it as stew. It's really your call. In this recipe, I did it. My personal touch here, after an hour into it, after it's been baking for an hour, I take it out, open it up, and I put some mushrooms in there. And mushrooms will overcook, so that's why I wait till they're after an hour. The traditional recipe doesn't call for mushrooms, but I love mushrooms, so I can't resist. You can also add celery, whatever you want. This is your baby when you're making it. So when it's all done, you're gonna have your garlic mashed potatoes, and then you're gonna have your delicious Guinness stew. And then I have the second Guinness, which is for my own consumption. If you don't drink, that's fine. Get your plate, mashed potatoes, put the stew on top of it. Bon appetit. My name is Ryan Dunlap. It's been my Pechu, and I hope you enjoy it.